Once hailed as the Maharaja of the skies, Air India has degenerated into a symbol of national humiliation, an airline so comically inept, so catastrophically indifferent, that it no longer deserves the faintest echo of public trust. What was once a proud emblem of India's global presence has curdled into a festering relic of bureaucratic cowardice, mismanagement, and apathy, flying not on wings, but on excuses. The flight that crashed and the silence that followed. In a country where tragedy strikes often and accountability is but a ghost, Air India's response to disaster has reached new depths of spinelessness. A plane crashes. Lives are lost. Families are destroyed. And how does Air India respond? With PR-crafted condolences, delayed compensation, missing transparency, and that smug institutional inertia that tells you, we are too big to feel shame. Let us be clear. An airline that cannot protect its passengers in the air and cannot dignify their memory on the ground is not an airline, it is a crime scene with wings. Hollow apologies, deferred compensation. India is a land of the grieving poor. When calamity hits, a lifetime's worth of hope is buried under wreckage. And yet, the bereaved must beg for their rightful compensation. Legal paperwork piles up. Government officials play passing the parcel. Lawyers lurk like vultures. Air India offers token aid, barely worth the price of a seat. Even as international aviation laws dictate swift and fair settlements, the airline stalls behind loopholes and red tape. Where is the moral spine? Where is the outrage from within? What kind of national carrier delays justice to citizens it failed to protect? Culture of cowardice. Every aspect of Air India bleeds cowardice. When a flight is delayed, no one speaks. When a crash occurs, no one is held to account. When an internal error spirals into disaster, the reflex is not reform, it is deflection. This is a company trained not in aviation, but in evasion. It takes bravery to admit failure. Air India has none. It takes leadership to reform culture. Air India is leaderless. It takes integrity to stand by your passengers when it matters most. Air India will abandon them in the very moment it was designed to protect them. A bureaucratic shell, not a company. Let us not romanticize the airline's past. Even before privatization, it was a cesspit of nepotism and mediocrity. Promotions based on seniority, not competence. Aircrafts in disrepair. Pilots overworked. Cabin crew demotivated. And a management structure that rewards silence over action. It wasn't an airline. It was a floating retirement home for the least ambitious sectors of Indian bureaucracy. The spinelessness was institutional. It was generational. It was deliberate. After privatization, still no spine. Even under the Tata Group, the stench of legacy incompetence remains. Though improvements have been promised and a PR-friendly mask has been slapped on, the reality is plain: Air India is not evolving. It is rebranding decay. Crashes still happen. Customer service is still a punchline. Justice is still delayed. And the default mode of operation is duck, dodge, delay. What have the new owners done to rectify past sins? They hide behind the shield of legacy liabilities. But the blood on those liabilities is still warm. And no amount of corporate speak will wash it off. Conclusion: scrap the Maharaja, give India a real airline. Air India does not deserve your patriotism. It does not deserve your silence. It deserves a reckoning. The myth of national pride. National carrier. What a convenient term to manipulate emotion. Air India wraps itself in the Indian flag every time it's criticized, hoping that patriotic nostalgia will drown out its failure. But the truth is brutal: Air India does not serve the people of India. It hides behind them. It invokes the tricolour when it crashes. It invokes history when it is sued. It invokes legacy when it is exposed. It bleeds national sentiment dry, using our patriotism as human shield. But love for one's country does not mean loyalty to its worst institutions. Patriotism means demanding better. And there is nothing more anti-national than an airline that lets Indian citizens burn in its wreckage while it drafts press releases. The victims deserve dignity, they got red tape. Imagine the final moments of the victims. Turbulence. Screams. Impact. Then silence. And for the families, the hell is only beginning. What follows is not support, not outreach, not swift justice but paperwork. Sign here. Submit Aadhaar. Get an affidavit. Wait for a call that never comes. Grieving families are turned into clerks, made to jump bureaucratic hurdles while their children rot in coffins. This is the Air India system, impersonal, cruel, and defiantly slow. And the amounts offered? Paltry. Conditional. Hidden behind clauses. A child's life reduced to rupees. A mother's body accounted for like cargo. And when families protest, they're told to be patient. As if time can compensate what Air India stole in seconds. A company run by ghosts. Go to any Air India office after a crisis. You will not find urgency. You will not find outrage. You will find silence. People milling about. Phones not ringing. Middle management that vanishes into meetings. This is not crisis response. It is choreographed indifference. No one wants to sign off on responsibility. No one wants to admit fault. They wait you out. Stall you until your grief cools. And when the headlines fade, so does your case. Air India knows that India forgets. And they count on it. International embarrassment. While other nations have airlines that exemplify efficiency, Singapore Airlines, Emirates, Qatar, India lumbers forward with a carrier that is known more for its dysfunction than its service. Late departures. Mechanical failures. Bed bugs in seats. Mishandled baggage. Missing accountability. And now, death. Our global image suffers. Tourists avoid. Investors rethink. Citizens travel foreign. Because we no longer trust our own skies. Air India is not just a domestic disgrace. It is an international warning, fly at your own risk. The blood is on every level. This failure isn't one person's fault. It is rot that seeps from every crack, from lazy ground staff to tone-deaf executives. From the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, DGCA, that watches with impotence, to the Ministry of Civil Aviation that buries its head in the sand. From the union bosses who protect incompetence to the corporate lawyers who fight victims in court. Everyone is complicit. Everyone is guilty. Everyone is spineless. Reparation or ruin. If Air India has any soul left, it must act now, not with words, not with PR, but with decisive, aggressive, unapologetic justice. Immediate and unconditional compensation to every victim's family, no bureaucracy, no delays. Full transparency in crash investigations, release the black box reports publicly. Firing and prosecution of anyone responsible for systemic negligence. Independent audit of safety standards and training protocols. Permanent memorial fund for crash victims funded by the airline, not the taxpayer. And if it cannot do these things, shut it down. Let private players take its place. Let better airlines rise where this one has fallen. There is no room in modern India for institutions that murder with their negligence and shrug with their silence. Final words, cowards in the cockpit of a nation. Air India is not just a broken airline. It is a monument to Indian cowardice. Cowardice in leadership. Cowardice in responsibility. Cowardice in facing the truth. As long as this airline exists in its current form, every flight it takes is a gamble with human life. And every day it avoids reform is an insult to the people who died believing they were safe. So let this be written: Air India did not fail because of weather, or fate, or chance. Air India failed because it has no spine. And India deserves better than a flying coffin wrapped in bureaucracy. This is not an airline, it's a state-sanctioned death trap. Let's call it what it is. Air India is a flying slaughterhouse. A winged bureaucratic tomb where passengers are herded in like cattle and treated as disposable the moment something goes wrong. They don't see you as people. They see you as liability columns on an insurance spreadsheet. When your loved ones die in an Air India crash, you aren't met with compassion, you're met with silence. Forms. Ghost phone numbers. Lawyers. Excuses. Cold stares. Vanishing officers. And then the ultimate insult, compensation that wouldn't even buy a used hatchback. You gave them your money. You gave them your trust. And they gave you death, delay, and denial. Blood on the runway, smiles in the boardroom. While families sit in hospital waiting rooms identifying charred remains, the Air India executive class is sipping coffee behind closed doors, workshopping PR statements like it's a brand issue, not a human catastrophe. Deeply saddened. Unfortunate incident. Working with authorities. Empty, lifeless words manufactured by spineless cowards in luxury suits. Let's be clear, the crash was not an accident. It was the inevitable outcome of years of corner-cutting, unchecked incompetence, outdated hardware, and a company culture built on escaping blame. They knew their systems were flawed. They knew their maintenance was sloppy. They knew their staff was overworked, undertrained, and numb. And still, they kept flying. Because death is cheaper than reform. What kind of country tolerates this? Where is the outrage? Where are the arrests? Where are the CEOs being paraded in handcuffs like they deserve? This is India, where a farmer gets jailed for loan default, but an airline executive who presides over a plane crash gets promoted to advisory boards. Where working-class parents bury their children while politicians tweet condolences from air-conditioned conference rooms. Air India's leadership isn't just spineless, they're heartless, gutless, soulless suits who profit off the silence of our dead. If this were the USA or Europe, heads would roll. In any other serious country, after a crash of this magnitude, investigations would be televised. Executives would be subpoenaed and grilled. Massive civil suits would bankrupt the carrier. Survivors would be paid millions. The media would never shut up about it. But here, in India, we move on. We accept. We forget. We fucking forget. Air India bets on your forgetfulness. It banks on it. It waits. Bides its time. Then repaints its planes and starts the cycle over. Burn the myth, not the passengers. Don't you dare let them get away with legacy nonsense. Don't you dare let them smear patriotism over the bloodstains. The Maharaja is dead. The romance is a lie. This airline is a rotting monument to everything wrong with this country's broken institutions. Final words, this is murder by negligence. This is not an essay. This is a scream. Because people are dead. And the machine that killed them is still running. Still flying. Still selling tickets. Still gaslighting survivors. Still lying to the nation. Air India does not need a rebrand. It needs a funeral. Until the last executive is dragged into court. Until the last rupee is paid to every grieving mother. Until the last coward is named and shamed. Do not fly this airline. Do not fund this corruption. Do not forgive this evil. Because Air India didn't just crash. It betrayed the sky. And we let it. Fire. Air India killed them and now they're getting away with it. Fire. Dead bodies. Grieving families. An airline playing dead while the country watches in silence. How much is a dead Indian worth to Air India? 20 Indian rupees lakh. Maybe 5 Indian rupees lakh. Maybe nothing if you don't scream loud enough. Because guess what? You're not a human being to them, you're a cost calculation. Will the family sue? No? Okay. Offer peanuts. This isn't customer service, this is calculated abuse of Indian citizens. Airplane, we regret the loss of life, shove it. Imagine this. You put your family on a plane. You wave goodbye. And hours later, you're identifying their body from a pile of burnt limbs. And what do you get from Air India? A half-assed press release. No answers. No officials. No compensation. No goddamn apology. While you cry in hospital hallways, they're sitting in air-conditioned boardrooms spinning headlines and blaming weather. They knew their aircraft was outdated. They knew their crew was overworked. They knew their systems were trash. But they flew anyway. Because your family dying is cheaper than maintenance. India, India, wake the hell up. This isn't just negligence. This is state-enabled murder. Where's the outrage? Where's the media firestorm? Where's the fucking parliament speech demanding blood? Oh right, no one cares, because you're poor. Because the people who die in these crashes aren't ministers' kids or Bollywood royalty. They're the working class. The middle class. The forgotten. The expendables. Firefly the Maharaja. They said. Yeah. Into a mass grave. Air India's branding is a joke. That stupid grinning Maharaja mascot. Wipe that smug cartoon off the tail fin and replace it with a body bag. National pride? No. National shame. Wings of India? No. Tombstones in the sky. Air India isn't your national carrier anymore. It's a flying crematorium with an HR department. Oncoming fist, we demand war. Not lawsuits. Not petitions. War. Sue them into bankruptcy. Protest outside every Air India office. Hound their CEOs with cameras and questions. Drag their incompetence into the spotlight and never let go. Name and shame every official who signed off on those death traps. Moneybag how to kill and profit, the Air India model. Here's the sickening truth. Crash a plane. Blame the pilot. Pay a few families. Delay the rest with red tape until they give up. Quietly settle years later when the media's forgotten. And in the meantime, back to business. Back to ticket sales. Back to playing the victim. While your loved ones rot in the soil. Air India moves on. And no one burns for it. Face with symbols on mouth, bottom line, burn. This. Airline. To. The. Ground. We don't want apologies. We don't want condolences. We want revenge. Shut it down. Strip it bare. Jail the guilty. Make it bleed. Because if this is allowed to happen again, then every Indian who boards a flight is just another body waiting for impact. If you're angry, good. Stay angry. Spread this. Flood the internet. Burn the silence. Make Air India a name people spit, not salute. Never forgive. Never forget. Never fly. Stop sign Air India, blood on their wings, silence in their soul, stop sign. This is not a tragedy. This is a cover-up. What happened wasn't a freak accident. It was murder by neglect, and the killers are still flying. Still profiting. Still smiling in their chairs while mothers cry over coffins. And you know the worst part? They don't care. They never did. Skull and crossbones, they flew a plane straight into death and called it routine. You think this was some bold from the blue catastrophe? No. That aircraft had problems. The runway was unsafe. The systems were outdated. The staff were exhausted. Everyone knew. Everyone ignored it. Because profit margins speak louder than black box data. They flew that plane with full knowledge it was a risk. They gambled with lives. And when they lost, they folded their hands and said, sorry. Sorry doesn't pull children out of the wreckage. Sorry doesn't sew a shattered spine. Sorry doesn't pay for cremations. They should be in handcuffs. Instead, they're booking tickets for the next flight. Face with steam from nose, the grieving must beg, while the guilty rest easy. Do you understand what families go through after an Air India crash? They don't get answers. They get forms. They don't get compassion. They get procedures. They are told to wait. To come back later. To file affidavits. To speak to lawyers. They're treated like parasites asking for a handout, not victims whose lives were burned by corporate cowardice. And still, nothing. No real compensation. No direct calls. No public justice. Air India hides behind process, delays, and legalese because they know that pain, like news cycles, fades. India, this isn't just an airline. This is India's shame. Every Indian who stays silent is complicit. We cannot wrap ourselves in the tricolor and let this rot fly above our skies. This is not a national carrier. This is a national cancer. How many more bodies? How many more mass funerals? How many more children need to grow up without parents before someone finally stands up and screams, "Enough"? If this were the US, this company would be sued into oblivion. If this were Japan, resignations would be automatic. If this were China, there would be trials. But in India? They give them a rebrand and a marketing budget. Skull, a company of cowards, run by clowns, protected by corpses. Not one executive has faced public humiliation. Not one director has gone on national TV to answer for the dead. Not one top-level decision-maker has admitted fault. Because Air India is led by people who were never taught to bleed. They bleed your families. They bleed your emotions. And they walk away clean, every single time. They wear suits, speak English, smile in photo shoots, and bury the evidence in triplicate. They fly business class while your sister gets zipped into a body bag. They pretend this is normal. It's not. It's evil. Balance scale. We don't want improvement plans. We want justice. Fire every top official connected to the disaster. Seize their assets. Open every file. Publicize the black box. Turn the investigation into a war crime tribunal. Don't let them hide behind the Tata Group. Don't let them shield themselves with words like privatization and legacy issues. This is blood we're talking about. This is a mass killing wrapped in paperwork. This isn't about planes anymore. This is about what kind of country we are. Face with symbols on mouth. If you fly Air India after this, you're paying for the next body. Yes, you. If you buy a ticket, you are endorsing this massacre. You are feeding the beast. Do you want to be part of their next PR cover-up? Do you want your parents in that seat, on that plane, next time they cut corners? Because make no mistake. There will be a next time. There always is. They won't fix it. They'll fly it. And they'll bury the results again. Fire Tir the Maharaja from the sky. Shut it down. Dismantle every piece. Scrub the brand from the history books. Air India doesn't deserve a legacy. It deserves a tombstone. Because when an airline kills and walks away, when a government watches and says nothing, when a country forgets instead of fights, that airline will kill again. And we'll have no one left to blame but ourselves. Bomb. Final verdict: ground it, bleed it, bury it. Air India is not broken. It's rotten. It's infected with cowardice. It is the enemy above our heads. And until it's punished for every death, until it's stripped bare in court, until every victim is honored with blood money, not bloodless statements, then every Air India flight is a crime in motion. And every seat sold is another coffin waiting to be closed. Oncoming fist, share this. Name them. Shame them. Burn the silence. Fire Air India, you murdering filth. The dead are screaming for vengeance. Fire. There are bodies. Burnt, shattered, buried. There are families' eyes swollen, throats hoarse from screaming, lungs collapsing from the stench of crematoriums. And what do they get? A press release. A hollow "we're sorry." Not justice. Not answers. Not even dignity. Air India, you butchered these people and now you sit behind bulletproof glass, sipping tea, hiding behind NDAs and lawyers. We see you. And we are coming. Coffin, you didn't crash a plane. You sacrificed them. Let's drop the mask. This wasn't some aviation incident. This wasn't an act of God. This wasn't pilot error. You loaded a metal coffin with souls. You knew it was broken. You flew it anyway. And you fed them to gravity. You didn't just kill them. You offered them to the altar of cost-cutting, corruption, and cowardice. Each body that hit the earth is on your hands. Each broken spine, each flaming ribcage, each melted face, that is your legacy, Air India. Drop of blood, the dead can't sue. So you wait for silence. You ghouls. You know what you do? You send flowers. You issue condolences. You pretend to care. Then behind closed doors, you go. Good. Let's wait. The heat will die down. The poor don't have lawyers. The media will move on. The politicians will forget. You parasites feed on time. You drink the tears of the broken. You wait for mourning to rot into exhaustion. But not this time. Not this goddamn time. Pouting face, you think this is over? We're just getting started. Your logo is dipped in blood. Your slogan should be "Fly the Maharaja and die for his comfort." We will dig into every ledger. We will hunt every name on every clearance paper. We will rip the cockpit voice recorders out and broadcast every scream. You thought this was another day at the office? This is war. The dead are not done with you. Their bones rattle in their graves screaming for retribution. Face with symbols on mouth to the families, do not forgive. Do not move on. Air India wants you to heal. Air India wants you to trust the system. Air India wants you to shut up, take the 5 Indian rupees lock, and disappear. Spit in their face. Drag their name through every street. Print their executives' faces on posters and paste them on courthouse gates. Call them what they are. Killers. Liars. Merchants of death. Skull and crossbones. This is not an airline. This is a winged death cult. It wears uniforms. It files reports. It boards passengers with smiles. And then it slaughters them midair with mechanical neglect and decades of rust. And when the fire clears, they shrug. They keep selling tickets. They keep pocketing profits. They keep hiding behind bureaucracy. Air India is not broken. It is evil. It is possessed. Candle, the souls of the dead curse you. To the pilots who warned of faulty gear ignored. To the engineers who begged for spare parts overruled. To the staff who were scared to fly threatened with job cuts. And now? A plane in pieces. A city in mourning. Children without parents. Parents without children. And a company without a spine. Let the ground remember. Let the skies scream. Let their ghosts haunt your hangars. Crossed swords are demands. Not just justice. We want blood. Compensation. No. Reparations. In crores. Per head. Public trials. Executives in chains. CEO resignations. No CEO prosecutions. Ground every goddamn aircraft they fly until audits are complete. If you don't cooperate, we come with fire. With lawsuits. With public fury. We will burn this name into history as a warning. This is what happens when you fly your own citizens into the mouth of hell and call it business. Drop of blood, final curse, the sky will not forgive you. Air India, you don't get to move on. You don't get to paint a new logo and erase the screams. You don't get a rebrand. You get a reckoning. Every seat you sell now is cursed. Every plane you board is a ticking coffin. And every ad you release will be followed by the stench of burning bodies. The blood is still fresh. The dead are not buried. And we are not done. This isn't just protest. This is a blood oath. From the people. From the dead. From the rage that will not rest. Air India, you murdered your countrymen. Now the country is coming for you. Until there is real justice for those who died under its watch, real reform in how it compensates and communicates, and real courage in how it treats its citizens, not just customers, it will remain a spineless, heartless zombie of an airline.